Hello everyone, today I'll be comparing Fuji X-E5 and Fuji X106. Let's see which one is better for you. First, let's get the obvious out of the way. Fundamentally speaking, one is a fixed lens camera with a 35mm f2.0 lens, and the other is a lens interchangeable mirrorless camera. You can attach all the Fuji X-mount lenses on X-E5. This is the biggest difference you need to consider right up front. Here's where it gets interesting. Internally, these cameras are practically identical. They share the same 40.2 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor and the same imaging processor. That means the raw image quality, including the resolution, noise, dynamic range, and Fuji's legendary color science is essentially the same. Even the video specs are a match, and both have a 3.5mm mic input. They even have very similar in-body image stabilization or IBIS. The X-A5 can get a slight edge here, maybe an extra stop of stabilization, but that completely depends on which lens you attach. Both cameras boast a premium feel thanks to their machined aluminum top plates. They feel great in the hand. In terms of size, when the X-A5 is rocking a pancake lens, they look and feel very similar. They're both wonderfully compact. But the moment you put a longer lens on the X-A5, it transforms into a force of nature. The X106, by nature of its fixed lens, is always going to be the more compact recording machine. In terms of weight, they're pretty much similar if you put on a pancake lens on the X-E5. If you attach any other lens, obviously X-E5 will inevitably be heavier. Lens-wise, it's the clever lens design on the X106 that matters most. I read this somewhere on Reddit, so please take it with a grain of salt. The post explains X106's lens is actually recessed into the body. So think of an iceberg where you see the tip on the outside and may think that it's small, but actually there's a whole body under the water. It's sort of like that. This design is what allows it to maintain that brighter f2.0 aperture, whereas Fuji's pancake lenses usually sit around at f2.8. One major difference between the X106 and the X-E5 is that X106 has leaf shutter, where X-E5 has focal plane shutter. Thanks to the leaf shutter, X106 is exceptionally quiet. Now hear this. I don't know if you can hear it actually. Hopefully the microphone picked up something. As you can see, it's really quiet. You can be very discreet with this one. On the other hand, you hear that? It's not too bad though. I'm in a library, but you can still take photos with this without drawing too much attention to yourself. I mean, I wouldn't be really concerned about it. Now moving on to the screen and weather sealing. The X106 is weather sealed as long as you have a filter on the lens. However, I've noticed on the specs page of each camera on B&H's web store that they both have exactly same operating conditions. So I'm not entirely sure how weather sealed the X106 really is, but I did bring this kit out to inclement weather conditions and it hasn't given me any trouble. The X106 has a tilting only screen. The X-E5 on the other hand has a full flip-up screen, which makes it great for recording yourself, vlogging, and similar uses. The trade-off is that this design involves more moving parts and a longer flex cable compared to the X106. If you look closely, the X106's exposed part of the cable strip is shorter, which makes me a bit more confident in its durability. With the X-E5, I'm concerned about long-term wear on that cable strip. If anybody has any insight on the durability of these strips, please let me know in the comments. Sony cameras usually have an articulating screen, which is nice for video recording, but I've also seen hinges wear out or break, so I suppose every camera design has its weak points, but the XE5 might have too many. Anyways, that's my only real gripe with the XE5. I also wish it had a dedicated video dial like the XT5, but that's probably me asking for too much. Sure, you can assign one of the buttons to start video recording, but the catch is that it doesn't shoot in F-Log when you do that. If anybody knows how to change that, please let me know in the comments once again. The XE5 takes a hit on display quality. Both its viewfinder and its rear LCD monitor have a lower resolution than the X106. Battery life is very similar, as they both use the exact same capacity battery and can be charged via USB-C cables. But if you're rocking the X106 and utilizing that awesome optical viewfinder, you might find the battery drains just a little bit slower, at least in my experience. So there are two things that the X106 gets exclusively. One, a built-in flash, which is really handy in a pinch when you're shooting against the lighting. Number two, an internal neutral density filter, which is absolutely essential for shooting video or wide open in bright light. And here's what the XE5 has that the X106 doesn't. A dedicated film simulation dial. I actually find myself not using this at all. I just set it at C for custom and just choose one out of the 7 custom recipes. Now, XE5 supports UHS 2 cards, which is a huge plus for video and high-speed burst shooting. Another difference is the on-off switch. The X106 is much easier and smoother to operate than the XE5. I accidentally turn it on or off when I try to take it out of the bag or case, and it can be really annoying. And talking about turning it on and off, I found out that the XE5 takes a moment longer to boot up. I saw this in someone else's XE5 and X106 comparison video, and I tested it myself. Indeed, the XE5 is slower when booting up compared to X106. I haven't really noticed this when I was using XE5 extensively during my travels in Ontario, so I guess I'm okay with it. The ultimate question is, which one is right for you? I took both of these cameras out and shot photos and videos in same places. And here's the takeaway, they are truly identical on the inside. They deliver the same core image and video quality. Obviously, if you attach a higher-end lens like the 56mm f1.2 or the 23mm f1.4, XE5 will outperform the X106 in both photo and video quality. I do like the simplicity of X106. Having just one focal length forces you to think more about composition. When I'm using a zoom lens, I tend to rely on zooming instead of really working on my framing. I also find myself second-guessing my compositions with a zoom. That said, when traveling, a zoom definitely comes in handy, especially when you suddenly want a wide shot or a close-up. The X106 is the all-in-one take-it-anywhere camera. It's compact, discreet, has weather sealing, a built-in flash, and an ND filter. It's got everything you need to be whisked away for a year-long world trip. Street shooters, travelers, and anyone who loves the 35mm focal length, this is your camera. The XE5 is also excellent for street travel and everyday carry, but it truly shines with versatility. If you want lens options and don't mind carrying a few extra pieces of gear, the XE5 is the clear winner. The X106 is about elegance and restraint. One camera, one lens, ready for any occasion. The XE5 is about flexibility and power. Build it how you want, push it where you need. Just keep in mind that you gotta be more cautious in rough weather conditions. So the real question you need to ask yourself is this: do you want the freedom of choice or the freedom from choice? Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Also, in the last video, I did say I'll be comparing Fuji X-E5 and Sony A7C II. However, I have realized that I've lost a bunch of photos and was not able to make that video. So, that video will be postponed indefinitely, and I apologize to whoever was waiting for that, even if it's just the one person. Anyways, thank you again, and see you in the next video. I mean, for me, definitely this one, because it's lens interchangeable. But that's just me.